Sonnenblick.
Thank you, John. My name is Bob Sonnenblick. I'm the chairman of Sonnenblick Development. We are a 127-year-old family office specializing in real estate development. We do two very basic forms of real estate. We're the largest developer in Los Angeles of government tenanted office buildings. We own about 1 million square feet that we built. We still own them. We are in the process of buying another building right now, government tenanted. And I mentioned in our meetings yesterday, I'm happy to point out that we did our first big deal that was funded by PCCP, which was a 500,000 square foot government building that we have and still own. That's the LA headquarters for Homeland Security. And we just refinanced that in December. And we can talk about the status of the financing world on our new acquisition compared to the financing that we did in December. And our other major focus is we are a very active hotel developer. We have 4 major resort hotel projects on both coasts in California and Florida that we'll talk about financing for hotels as well. So that's a quick overview, John.
Thanks so much, Bob. Bob, I want to just bring you in on one piece of this, which is, I believe you just borrowed through the CMBS market recently. I think you mentioned when we talked before, you own a couple GSA fully leased deals. You had borrowed from the CMBS, last year, and then maybe more recently. What was the differences you saw? Was the financing you just did post COVID, or was it?
We have 2 separate projects. One, we closed on a big government refi CMBS in December, right before the COVID disaster got public. And the comparison is that we're in the market today, John, with a new building, also a government building, a different one, but also a government building for CMBS financing now. And I agree with everything that Alan said, but the one thing that we're seeing as a difference today versus the financing we closed in December is something, John, that you talked about. I think right now spreads on CMBS are artificially high, based on where the 10-year treasury is. We should be borrowing on this new deal at probably 2.5%. And instead our quotes are more like 3.5, 3.75. So there is an extra 100 basis points in today's financing that's, I guess, based on the uncertainty in the world. You mentioned about how the issuers are borrowing themselves and they're having trouble borrowing. And that's just causing a mispricing today. And I think that is actually what's holding back volume, in that I believe CMBS right now is mispriced by at least 100 basis points. And the borrowers are not moving forward.
And I want to bring in Bob. So we talked a little bit about multifamily here and the views on that. So Bob has the great idea to start 2 new hotel deals this year, or he states it. So 2 questions: why in the world do you want to build a hotel? And number 2, who in the world's going to finance it?
Well, 2 interesting things. I actually disagree a little bit with what David talked about. Jay referred before to the V. Oh, wait, something just came up on my screen here, sorry. Jay referred to the V. I'm a huge believer in what David was talking about. He says that the V can't happen that quickly. 2020 obviously was, or is, the worst year in the hotel business in our lifetimes. I, however, am the one guy in the entire industry who believes that 2021, we are going to be back exactly as we were in 2019. I think it's going to, everybody's got short memories, and not today, but 7 months from now, this will all be over. And I see travel bouncing back very strongly. John, the answer to your question, though, keep in mind one thing. When I start construction on a hotel, it takes 2 full years to build and get it ready for occupancy. So my 2021 start doesn't give me opening till 2023. And in the hotel business, we really underwrite off of the 3rd year of occupancy, which to me is 2024. And that's why we really have right now very little worry about how these hotels are going to do.
Yeah, because you feel like in the next few years it'll wash itself out, and if you're building a good product for the right people or the right situation, it'll perform. How do you finance that today, though?
I don't finance it, and using the word today means 2020. The answer is I don't finance it today. We won't be going out until 21. But John, keep in mind one other thing. My hotels are in a joint venture with Six Flags amusement parks. In other words, I'm building on the grounds of amusement parks that up until now we're averaging 3 million visitors a year. I'm not doing something out in the middle of nowhere. I believe that in 2021 or 22, those parks will go back to having 3 million visitors a year on property. So ours are a little bit easier. And again, your comment about hotel finance, hotel construction finance really has never been good in the first place. A normal loan, and Jay probably looks at these, a normal senior loan on a hotel deal is 50% of cost. It's not 75 or 80 like it should be. You know, if David mentioned, residential, our loans are 50%. There's no lender that's taken anything back that's making loans at 50%. So I think in January, that market will be back open again without a problem.
There may be some mall lenders who are taking things back at 50%. I'll just say that. And well, it sounds like you have a particularly unique strategy with but I think like retail, there's a lot of hotels that don't really have a reason to exist. And I think you're going to really see a lack of new supply for the next few years, and a lot of hotels becoming other things over the next few years.
Hey, John, I agree with that 100%. I think you're going to see, and you already are seeing in places like Manhattan, a lot of these hotels being converted to residential. I think you're correct.
Yeah, well, New York, what are you most concerned about, and what's your best idea to invest moving forward? And yeah, I bet you're going to say GSA investing and hotel by Six Flags.
Well, if you're, those are the easy ones. I picked the low-hanging fruit. But John, the 2 questions that iGlobal put up, the first one dealt with when is the largest amount of stress, financial stress, in this whole period, and I would say it's today.
Wait, don't prejudice the audience. There's
all right. Well, I'll just give you my quick answer on that then. I would say today, May 19th, there's no greater financial stress than where we are absolutely today. I think it'll ease every day we go forward. And in terms of places to buy right now, I think you mentioned before, and the guys have mentioned, retail is out of favor. It's a disaster. But retail is a wonderful place to buy land. And even if the idea is hey, I'm going to change this. Every shopping center's got a lot of dirt. And that's where the upside is, buying those things. If you want to really make the multiples that David referred to, go out and buy distressed shopping centers right now.
So David Valger is